Hello respected viewers, I am George from Ireland and here I am in front of Montem Mound in Slough. So Montem, it comes from the Latin words ad montem, which is to the mountain or to the hill, and it was often surmised that this was a part of a Motte Bailey castle constructed in the Middle Ages to control the access to Slough, because there's a stream close by, a little bridge very close, though in fact that conjecture proved to be erroneous only in 2006. I can see whether they surmised that. In fact, recent architecture proves this was built around 700 AD by the Saxons, possibly a burial mound like the one at Taplow, only a few miles away, that they've not actually dug down to find skeletons or artifacts, I don't think. Anyway, so why is it called Ad Montem? Well, Eton is only about 2 miles south of here, and at Eton, certainly from 1567, that's the earliest recorded example of this, or sorry, 1561, the boys would assemble in schoolyard, right in the heart of school, and they would defile up here to this little hill, Salt Hill, and it appears to have taken place in August when new boys arrived. That was the beginning of the academic year, and they'd be sprinkled with salt when they got here, part of some sort of initiation ceremony. Was Salt Hill named Salt Hill for that, or was it previously known as Salt Hill? I'm not quite sure. It also may think is the French like sauter, to jump, as you're going up, or becoming there, rising in the school. But anyway, my speculative suggestion is probably completely bogus. Or is it because you're worth your salt is some sort of payment? But over the centuries it changed. The first recorded occasion, as I said, is 1561. Though it may have been going on earlier, some people have suggested perhaps it started in 1440 when Henry VI founded the school that day, 11th of October as Founders' Day, but there were no pupils that particular day. But over the centuries it evolved, and later on the captain of school, who always had to be a king's scholar, there are only up to 70 king's scholars, it didn't always fill the role because conditions were so harsh. One of them would be appointed by the headmaster of captain of school, like head boy as most schools would say, but that particular day he'd be called captain of Montem. And so, but the Montem sometimes took place more than once a year, sometimes it's in January as well, in rather bad weather. But people would donate money all along the way. The boys would be dressed up in their finery. It wasn't tawdry. Over time it came to be military dress. They would hire military regalia from costumier. Some of them were commissioned army officers. You could be a schoolboy and only buy a commission, even though you're not actually serving before the colours. They might even be accoutred even with pistols. Remember, there were no gun laws in the 18th century. Especially during the Napoleonic Wars, or the various wars of the 17th century, some schoolboys actually had commissions despite not even performing any military duties. And military bands would accompany them, all brasses blaring. So it was a very fine spectacle, and the townsfolk would line the route to cheer them, and people would ask for salt, as in pecuniary donations, to be given to the captain of school, who's known as the captain of Montem for that day. I shall walk up the hill now to help fund his education at King's College, Cambridge, because King's Scholars usually went on to King's College, Cambridge. King's College, Cambridge was founded the year after Eton, also by Henry VI. They've got almost exactly the same coat of arms. And the idea was for King's Scholars of Eton to go on to King's College, Cambridge. The majority of Etonians were not King's Scholars. Most of them were oppidans, as in they lived in oppidum in the town, not in college, the King's Scholars' house. But not all King's Scholars went on to King's College, Cambridge. Some of them left school, left education completely. A few of them went on to other colleges. But so long as you kept your nose clean, you could go on to King's. And a Kingsman could stay as a fellow of King's College, Cambridge, could come back to Eton to teach, could be a priest. Virtually all graduates were priests in those days, Catholic priests, subsequently Anglican priests, and so his life was assured. He was guaranteed an easy life and a handsome income. So that was, it was worth the privation of being a King's Scholar of Eton for the sake of having a comfortable life for the rest of your days. But anyway, so a lot of people came along. George III was a real enthusiast for Eton. He would come to watch. He would donate liberally to the captain of Montem, the only liberal thing he ever did. And that was it. It became a fashionable part of the season for people in London to come down to watch. But it had been biannual, then it was changed to once a year, then it was changed eventually to only every 3 years. So somebody was missing out. But the thing is, the captain of Montem had to compensate people for any damage caused during the Montem, and some of the boys started behaving disgracefully. So they were roistering about, behaving boorishly, and they were vandalising people's flower beds and other plants in their gardens. So he would regularly collect £1,000, which is a very fine sum for those days. You can multiply by 300 to get modern values, but often you're having to pay out about half of that out to the others. The thing is, he didn't actually need any money to go to King's because he had his tuition, bed and board for free, but that meant he would have plenty of money to live very well when he went to Cambridge. So that is Montem, and then the railways were built. Eton vigorously opposed the Great Western Railway coming through Slough, but come it did, only about a mile north of the school grounds. And so this was so close to the environs of the school, the masters thought there'd be too many temptations to the boys, they'd be running away to London and so on. Too many spectators would come to watch. So I think it was Dr. Hawtrey, if I've got that right, the headmaster, then who decided to abolish it, much against the protestations of Queen Victoria. She'd participated in it, as has her uncles, William IV, George IV, and so they're very sad to see it go, but he felt that it was becoming too rowdy, and it was really besmirching the reputation of the school because the boys were behaving well in such a disreputable fashion. Could have been regulated such that they behaved better, but that was the last Montem. They wore coats of many colours to come up here, and I'm not sure what actually took place up here, where they were sprinkled with everything. Disraeli came to Eton for a few days to gather material for his novel Coningsby, because the eponymous protagonist goes to Eton, and so Disraeli watched it and he wrote an account of it. So we're marching up Slough Road to here. So it was a raucous occasion at the height of summer. No, Mr. Angus Graham Campbell and Eton Beak, he did talk about bringing it back. So this would have kind of been the edge of Slough back then. You can see it's very built up. Here is the ice rink. Remember, I think it was my very first term, my dame suggested we go and I declined, but she drove some other boys and they were chatting to some girls our age, and well, one of the boys in our house my year fancied himself as a bit of Lothario, saying, well, if the dame wasn't there, things could have happened. But anyway, I got no hand-eye coordination, but I'd never known where Slough ice rink was. There's a part of Slough called Chalvey, which is not thought to be the most salubrious, it's fair to say. And the road just there is called Montem Road, and that's why. Remember in New Malden, London, there's Montem Road as well. So that's what a Montem is, that sort of procession. I remember in about 1995 at Eton, there was a display of various paintings in relation to a Montem. I'd love to find out more about it. And I don't know what actually happened here by the end, because they weren't sprinkling with salt. I don't know, those speeches just stayed here for a minute, then processed back to Eton possibly. So I hope you found that informative. So please follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I welcome donations which are financial in nature, just like I was as if I were the captain of the Montem. That's everything. Toodaloo.